Now let's take a look at managing the attributes on a user object. And what I'm going to do is click on Start, go into Administrative Tools, go into Users and Computers, and I'll stop doing that pretty soon here in the video because I know it gets old, but I just kind of want you to see how to get there and remember it. I'm going to go into the organizational unit where we have our users, and notice we've got Administrator and Frank Jones. Now if I double click on it, it will bring up the properties. Now notice I can also right click on it and choose properties. It does the same thing. But what this is showing me now are all the attributes that I can set on this user. And you need to pay close attention to these, and you owe it to yourself, both for the real world and for the exam, to just click through these tabs and pay attention to what's out here and play with some of these things. Notice we can set the logon hours for this user. We can set which computers they can log on to or restrict them to certain machines. We can go to the profile and we can set roaming profiles and the user's home folder path, telephone information for this user, the notes field I'll talk about a little bit later, organization. Anyway, you can just kind of step through these. You don't need me to step you through and read these to you, but I would strongly encourage you to go through these before you test and before you try to work with this in the real world and look at all you can do. There's a couple of things that I want to point out to you. On that Telephones tab, this Notes field, this is one of the most underutilized aspects of this. Anything that I put in here in Notes goes in the Info attribute on this user's object in Active Directory, which means later I can search based on any word that I put in these notes. And that becomes huge, especially for any kind of stuff that I want to put out there and then create dynamic groups and all sorts of things. So just keep that in mind. Then I want to show you a couple of gotchas that you'll need to be aware of for the exam. One thing to keep in mind is all the attributes that you see here. First of all, a lot of people think I'm not going to fill all that stuff out. Well, things like city, state, zip code, country, and region, that can be huge in a large Active Directory deployment because, again, we can search Active Directory for this. And later, we can create these dynamic groups, and we can, for example, if you've got Exchange running in this, I can send email only to people in certain zip codes. Just all kind of cool stuff you can do. So think through how you're going to use these things. But there's another thing, and that is that you're not even seeing all the attributes that all these user objects have, and I want to show you how to do that. Notice the tabs that are here. I'm going to hit Cancel. I'll go up here to View in my Users and Computers MMC, and I will choose Advanced Features. Now notice I got a lot more stuff here, but now when I go back in here and I right click on Frank Jones and go to Properties, you will notice that there's a number of tabs, and the one I really want to point to is this Attribute Editor. This will show you every attribute on that user account or on that user's object. So notice this is showing me when this was created. This is showing me the last time it was changed. Anyway, I can just see all kind of stuff here. Notice I can see the user principal name. So that's the Attribute Editor, but keep in mind to see that I have to go to View and I have to turn on Advanced Features. There is one other thing that you need to know about, and especially for the exam. Notice that if I want to change some things, I can go right click on Frank Jones and I can make changes, and I can click OK. Then I can go right click on my next user and go to Properties and make changes and click OK. But there's another way that I can make changes to multiple users, and that is use the Control key and just keep choosing multiple users. Choose the ones I want, then right click and go to Properties. And notice what I'm seeing here. This is the Properties for Multiple Items box. And on General, you see that I can change the description for all these users, the office, telephone number, fax, web page, and so forth. Now, account, all the the UPN suffix, logon hours, those sorts of things, address, profiles, organization. The one thing you need to know, this is an exam tip. You will get questions on the exam, not just about changing these attributes, but changing attributes for multiple items or for multiple users at once. You need to be familiar with what you can and cannot change in a multiple environment. In the real world, you'll do this a lot, and in the real world, you'll also use some command prompts and some PowerShell. But for the test, for the exam, they have been known to ask questions about these multiple items tabs where you can change something on multiple users at once. So just keep that in mind. Go through that and familiarize yourself with it. Just go through and just play with the things that you can change, and just play with how you can change them and what's on these right clicks and properties and left clicks and so forth before you go set the exam on the user object, and you should be pretty comfortable with finding your way through those questions.